Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all of us Scots. I am Alan Spence, President of the Scottish Society of San Antonio, and host for tonight's event. On or near the 25th of January every year, our society hosts a dinner and dance tribute to Scotland's most famous bard, Robert Burns. This year, due to the pandemic, we will not be able to host the over 200 people in person. Therefore, we have come up with this virtual program. Earlier in November and December, we posted on our website and our Facebook page recipes on how to prepare our national dish, haggis and taties and neats. We hope that you have prepared them in advance and that you will enjoy them during our program. Please bear in mind that this program was put on by some Scots that may or may not have known what they were doing. But in true Scottish fashion, that didn't stop us. So please sit back and enjoy the Scottish Society of San Antonio's 2020 Virtual Burns Night program. First off, we invite you to grab your partner there at home, joining in and welcoming the Blue Bonnet Scottish Country Dancers, led by John Roby.
Farewell to the Highlands, farewell to the North, the birthplace of valor, the country of worth. Wherever I wander, wherever I rove, the hills of the Highlands, forever I love. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a chasing the deer. A chasing the wild deer, and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go. Farewell to the mountains, high covered with snow. Farewell to the straths and green valleys below. Farewell to the forests and wild hanging woods. Farewell to the torrents and loud pouring floods. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a chasing the deer. A chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go.
Thank you, Caitlin. Now that you've worked up an appetite for the bard's work, it is time to welcome us the star attraction, the haggis. Presenting the haggis is the Right Honorable Viscount Dunrossel.
swallowed kites belive are bent like drums, and the old gudeman maist like to rive, but thankit Hans. Is there that o'er his French ragout or olio that would stow a sow, or fricassee would make her spew with perfect scunner, looks down with sneering, scornful view on sic a dinner? Poor devil, see him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle shank a good whiplash, his knee a knit, through bloody flood or field to dash, oh how unfit. But mark the rustic, haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, clapping his wally knee a blade, he'll mak it whistle, and legs and arms and heads will sned like taps o' thistle. Ye powers wha mak mankind your care, and dish 'em out their bill of fare. Old Scotland wants nae skinking ware that jobs in luggies. But if ye wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. To the haggis.
Haggis.
To the haggis. Please join me in the Selkirk grace. Some have meat and cannot eat, and some would eat that want it. But we have meat and we can eat, and say the Lord be thanked. And now a toast to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II by David Sutherland, Vice President of the Scottish Society of San Antonio.
Oceans apart, and yet always together. Brothers and sisters, through good times and bad. One small group of islands is the spark that brought our island and so many others to life. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to be upstanding for a toast to Her Majesty. To the Queen!
To the Queen!
And now, Derek Graham will present the immortal memory of Robert Burns.
January 25th, 2021 is the 262nd anniversary of Robert Burns' birthday. Robert Burns was a man of simple origins with less than 3 years of formal education. So why do people of the world over-remember this man's birthday every year? Robert Burns wrote poems, songs, ballads, and letters that spoke to universal themes that transcend time, place, technology, language, and dialect. He wrote of battles, friends, enemies, lovers, his dogs, mice, and death. Most importantly, he wrote about the overall humanness that makes us all feel a common self-worth. During a time that Scotland was being overwhelmed with all things English, Burns did more than any other to preserve the literature, language, lifestyle, and heritage of Scotland. He wrote most of his poetry in his native tongue. He collected and preserved the traditional folk songs of Scotland. One cannot imagine Scots music and the song without the contributions of Burns. Burns was a humanitarian who cared for the people like no other. His sympathies were with the poor and oppressed, the common folk, his fellow man, and so the pen of Robert Burns became the voice of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding and share with me a toast to the immortal memory of Robert Burns, a man of the people.
Thank you, Derek. Now push away from your tables and get ready to dance Highland style as we enjoy our very own Scottish Society Highland Dancers, led by Miss Mary Beth Klein. Thank you, dancers, for such a wonderful performance. And now, to let you catch your breath for more poetry from Mr. Burns, The Red, Red Rose, presented by Brooklyn Reed.
A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I. And I will love thee still, my dear, till the seas gain dry. Till the seas gain dry, my dear, and the rocks melt wi' the sun. I would love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while. And I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles.
Wonderful, Brooklyn. Thank you. Continuing on, we have our final toast of the evening. Presenting the toast to the lassies is Andrew Lowe.
I am not accustomed to public speaking, so this virtual Burns supper is a perfect fit for me. When I was voluntold during a virtual meeting, no less, I knew I would have to find out more about what is expected in this address to the lassies. I did what every good lad should do. I resorted to the internet for inspiration. Then did what I should have done in the first place and asked my lassie for help. Now, a toast that is for the lassies. Lord, wherever will I start? Robert Burns himself was highly qualified on that topic. He loved many and often, fathering around 13 or more children, all in just 11 years. His poems showed his love for the lassies and how much they meant to him. Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. It is well known that Burns had many more acquaintances and affairs with members of the fairer sex. These are too numerous for me to recount. He often caught the enticement of bonnies that included, of course, his wife Jean, but before her there was Mary, Maggie, Anna, and Peggy Eliza, that lassie he saw one time at church. Should I continue? He wrote about every one of them, immortalizing their greatness in his metered speech. Yes, Burns took every advantage he could to help seduce his lassies on those long, snowy Scottish nights. I often think that he wrote his adornments to the lassies in the evenings when he had a few nips of his favorite drink, and then wrote his warnings to his laddies in the morn with a clearer head. She is the sunshine of my eye. To live but her I cannot. Had I on earth but wishes three, the first should be my Anna. Though in the same breath, and most likely the same night, he gave the laddies this his warning. The captive bands may chain the hands, but love ensnares the man. Ye gallants brew, I redo you, beware, O bonny Anne. Many even call Burns a womanizer, but I think I would like to dispute that a little. After doing research for this speech, which I totally did on my own with no help from my lassie whatsoever, I came to really find that Burns was not a womanizer, but instead held the highest regard for women, and in fact, much preferred the company of men. All intimacy and shenanigans aside, that's putting a lot aside, Burns valued and appreciated beauty and intellect, humor and passion for words and language. He regularly used these words to describe the lassies in his life and his comments to them. And by their ye say bonny blue, I swear I'm shine forever oh, and thy lips I seal my vow, and break it shall I never oh, and I'll kiss thee yet and yet. Even from a young age, they made an impression on him. In a poem about his first love, he said, Oh, once I've loved a bonny lass, I love her still. And whilst that virtue warms my breast, I'll love my handsome Nell. So if it were for not the lassies in his life, Burns might never have been inspired to produce such a written legacy as he did. Burns saw you lassies in many ways and associated you with the best in nature. I see her in the dewy flowers. I see her sweet and fair. I hear her tuneful birds. I hear her charm the air. And Burns knew that a man, for all our faults, would never be enthralled to women. To see her is to love her, and to love her forever, for nature made her what she is, and never made another. So you can see that the lassies had a profound effect on the entire life of Scotland's favorite poet. He loved them as much as I love mine. So the toast. Lift your cup and drain it well, for these are the truths that I do tell. For no man is whole without his bride, without companion by his side, a loving hand, an encouraging smile, someone to stay and bide a while, someone to keep him on the path, someone to curb his rising wrath. A partner, loving, true, and good, one he could heed as well as he could. A man needs comfort from all strife. A man needs a lassie to be his wife. I give you then, good friends and fair, to the lassies,
To the lassies.
and their constant care.
Thank you, Andrew. Now presenting the rebuttal toast to the laddies is his wife, Alexis Lowe.
More than familiar, and everyone else who is still trying to work out what is in the haggis. Although I am awfully nervous, it is my pleasure to take the challenge to reply to Andrew's toast. I'd like to thank him very much for being so lovely to us lassies. Now, permit me to reply, as women usually do, with a few things to add. To see her was to love her, love but her, and live forever. Sometimes you must wonder if none understands the words they write. Love but her, and her, and her, her, and her, would have been more accurate. It is true that Robert Burns did love his women, for without his women, we surely would not be here celebrating him tonight. For all the love he spread has kept him alive forever in our hearts and in the bloodlines of numerous Scottish men. And of dear Burns, we use his own words to best remember. If there's another world, he lives in bliss. If there is none, he made the best of this. Andrew showed us Burns wrote wonderful poetry celebrating women, his love of women, the beauty of women. Maybe his love was just so vast that he could not contain it. Or maybe he was just monogamously challenged. And I agree with Andrew that Burns showed his love and passion for words and language by uniting music, realism, comedy, in a manner seldom seen. Then he did things like call 3 of his daughters Elizabeth from 3 different women. I think we can imagine the reasons why Burns wrote a few poems about the Fae being sour. Oh, Burns, he did love the lassies just as our lads love us. So although as a woman it pains me, I'm going to give the last word to a man, the man of the hour, Robert Burns, before we toast the laddies. It's Burns who gives the best picture of the perfect harmony of men and women getting along. We will dig a wee, wee house, and we will live like king and queen. Say by the merry we will be. When he set by the wheel and ate 'em, a man may drink and not be drunk. A man may fight and not be slain. A man may kiss a bonny lass, and all be welcomed back again. So let us raise our glasses to the husbands, partners, brothers, fathers, and friends. Dear men, we thank you for the laughter, joy, and fun. To the laddies.
To the laddies.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the Highland sounds of the San Antonio pipes and drums.
Amazing Grace in the Scotland Bride. England. Wait. Bob.
all who helped put this together for you, the dancers, the pipers, the poetry and toast readers, the camera people, the technical folks that put this out there on the network, and everyone else that I may have missed. The pandemic has hurt us financially this year, and the fundraising festivals that we worked were canceled. If you enjoyed this program, please think about a small donation. If you didn't enjoy it, please think about a large donation. The Scottish Society of San Antonio has a website and a Facebook page for more information. Be safe out there, and please keep the spirit of Scotland alive. We close with Robert Burns' most famous tune, Auld Lang Syne.